It is now official. If you live in the United States of America, then you need to heed this warning immediately. And why do I say that? Because the NOAA has officially issued an extreme heat warning for the U.S. as a large heat dome builds across the central and eastern U.S. through the July 4th holiday. It basically means that the entire United States of America will have temperatures that average well above 100 degrees in almost every single state. Have a look at the jet stream and how it's forming the heat dome basically around the entire United States. Take a look at the real field temperatures as well, what the heat index is going to make it feel across the U.S. all the way through the July 4th holiday weekend. And forecasters are predicting a double heat dome across the U.S., with one setting up on the West Coast and the other setting up on the East Coast. Both high pressure systems will trap the heat and humidity in the same place. And basically, this puts over 200 million people in the bullseye for this extreme heat. And this is a warning that everyone should heed right here from the National Weather Service.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of Rakah Kodash. All right, it's quick news and prophecy. Okay, as we see here, this is from Patriot.tv. The headline reads here, it says, largest U.S. power grid issues alerts, right? As heat drives near record power demand. All right, so they're saying that this heat wave that's going on right now could knock down the power grid. Okay, so that's something to take heed of, you know. Let's see what we can get from it. All right, bear with me 1 second. See if we can just get a brief summary here. Bear with me 1 second. Let's see what we got. Largest U.S. power grid issues alert. All right, it's hot as hell right now. All over the country. Temperatures, 100 degrees and up. And then you had the heat wave in Europe where, like, they showed on TV, shit is melting. All right, cars, street lights are melting, the roads are melting. Thousands of people are dying. All right, so some serious judgments are going out right now, So anyway, here from this summary on the left here, it says grid status and high demand alerts issued. PJM issued a hot weather alert along with maximum generation load management and low voltage alerts to maintain grid reliability through July 3rd, 2026. Today, let's see what else we got. Record forecasting, the operator projected a peak electricity demand of 166,304 megawatts, which would surpass its previous all-time summer record of 165,563 megawatts set back in 2026. Impact on customers. The alerts are meant for internal grid and generator management. They do not require immediate conservation actions from residential customers, right? Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else that we can get. The weather context, the National Weather Service issued warnings that dangerous heat would persist through the Independence Day holiday weekend across central and eastern portions of the U.S., with heat indexes expected to exceed 100 degrees and up to 115 degrees in some areas. All right, that's fucking hot. Raising risk for heat-related illnesses, right? So, hey, this is the Lord turning up the heat. All right, and really, this heat wave is just symbolic for what's getting ready to happen to Babylon the Great, America anyway. All right, this is the book of Sirach 43. All right, or Ecclesiastes chapter 43, verse 1, and it reads, it says, the pride of the height the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven, with his glorious show. The sun, when it appeareth, declaring at his rising, a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High. All right, the sun is the work of the Most High. It says, at noon it parcheth the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? You see? And who can abide the burning heat thereof? Verse 4. A man blowing a furnace in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams, it dimmeth the eyes. All right, hey, it's hot out here, bro. You know, and the Lord is turning up the heat. You know, it says, verse 5, great is the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, that made it, and at his commandment runneth hastily. All right, so yeah, you know, the works of the sun. Okay. Okay, there's some more here. Just to add on to what I'm saying. This is from the deepdiscourse.com. All right. It says PJM power grid mobilizes against heat wave or heat wave stress. It says PJM, the largest U.S. power grid operator, has activated emergency measures to cope with stress from an intense heat dome affecting 67 million people. This includes running generators at full capacity and reducing electricity demand to avoid outages, right? So this was just saying that this heat wave can cause power outages, man. And we've been warning that eventually, as we all been waiting on, of them bringing some type of event that's going to shut America down. All right, so anything could happen between now and then. All right, as we approach that 250-year anniversary of America, man. So something is bound to happen. All right. It says these steps aim to prevent severe disruptions in energy supply. All right. So that's we don't got to read all of that. So you get it. Let's play this video here. Record heat wave pressures, power grid nationwide.
At Coney Island now in New York City, where the temperature is fast approaching 80 degrees. This is just one of several cities sweating it out under a heat dome that is stretching across the country. I know you're feeling it too. That extreme heat has more than 250 million people trying to stay cool, and that's putting power grids nationwide to the test. News Nation Live weekend anchor Alicia Nieves is in New York right now with more. And Alicia, I mean, this historic heat is causing energy suppliers to prepare for the worst. What are they telling you?
Yeah, good morning, Marky. Well, they're telling us that they are expecting this to be a true test of our nation's power grid. You know, we're expected in the next 24 hours to potentially see the highest demand that we have seen for summer demand in about 2 decades. You have utility companies now asking people to try and do their best over the next couple of days to conserve energy, as you're seeing the U.S. Department of Energy trigger an emergency alert across the nation's largest power grid. Now, that operator, PJM Interconnection, serves about 67 million people. You're talking about across 13 states and Washington, D.C., and it says...
Yeah, that'd be crazy if this heat wave knocked off the power grid. All right? That'd be epic, you know?
That Thursday could be the busiest summer day that we have seen for demand since 2006, as millions of people are going to be cranking up their air conditioners to try and escape not only the heat, but we're talking about dangerous heat, triple digits, as you mentioned a moment ago. Grid operators have already issued a hot weather alert and are asking power plants to postpone maintenance so that as much equipment as possible is available. Even here in New York City, we're seeing officials ask businesses to do what they can to preserve the grid. This is Mayor Mandami, what he's telling businesses to do here.
And to every business owner, please set your thermostats to 78 degrees to alleviate the stress on our power grid. Every worker in New York City has the right to a safe workplace, and that includes safety in extreme heat.
Yeah, so this is advice to heed not only over the next 24 hours, but really over the entire holiday weekend, the next 5 days at least, as we're expecting these temperatures to persist up until then, Marky.
Yeah, Alicia, I was thinking of that very thing yesterday. What would we do if the air conditioning went out at home, with babies at home? Should people actually be worried about losing power this week?
It's a situation where people should be aware and cautious, but the grid operators right now are saying it's not a situation where you really should be.
Man, if that power gets cut, that's some serious judgment, man. Understand that. Every day has been like 100-something degrees. Okay?
Worried. They're not expecting that we're actually not going to have enough electricity, but they are saying it's something they're monitoring really closely, as over the last couple of years, they have started to see just on a baseline level the demand increase, and at some point starting to outpace their ability to produce electricity. So you're seeing this potential surge going to really put a test to that. We know that officials say that new data centers, for example, over the last couple of years, or last year or so, as those are developed and those are running 24 hours, that's testing the grid just, again, at baseline. Electric vehicles, a growing population. And that's why utility companies right now are asking people just to raise the thermostat a few degrees. You heard Mayman Dami saying 78 degrees. That's a lot better than the 100-degree temperature where you're feeling outside. Wait until the evening to utilize major appliances. Conserve power as much as you can, especially during the hottest part of the day. Again, grid operators are saying they are expecting to have as much electricity as is going to be necessary here, but it's something they're truly monitoring closely, Marky.
Right, Alicia Nieves live for us in New York City this morning.
There you go. All right, and speaking of those power grids, right, let's pull this up as well. Okay, this is from Gizmodo.com. It says, Energy Department wants data centers to stop draining the grid during brutal heat wave, right? So now you got this heat wave that's going across America. You got these data centers that are drinking up all the water, all right? Because I believe that I had seen online somebody was saying that Trump made an announcement or something like that America is soon to run out of water. All right, so they're setting up America for a serious judgment, man. Okay? It says the department gave a major grid manager the green light to require data centers to rely on backup power. See? So this shit is going to get entirely worse, as we've been warning you every day. All right? Let's get a quick summary and we'll grab scriptures here. Okay, just putting this all out there, man. It's about to get crazy, okay? All right, so let's see what we get from it here. Summarize that. Okay. It's not stopping. No water. All right. A potential power grid collapse. The economy is falling. I want to touch on that point too in a second. All right, let's see what we get out of this real fast. Okay, so it says key details of the report. The emergency order, Energy Secretary Chris Wright authorized an emergency order giving PJM Interconnection, the largest grid operator in the U.S., managing power across 13 states and Washington, D.C., the authority to mandate that data centers and other heavy industrial customers switch to their own backup power sources. Woo, man. The reason a major heat wave driving temperatures between 95 and 105 degrees have pushed electricity demand to its limits. Okay? And they've been talking about this for years, that the power grid was already shaky. Okay, it was already vulnerable. So this is only going to add more pressure and make things worse. Due to air conditioning use. At the same time, the ongoing artificial intelligence boom has resulted in a massive surge of power-hungry data centers, particularly in mid-Atlantic states like Virginia, which hosts the world's largest concentration of them. PJM projected that electricity demand could peak at roughly 166,147 MW, potentially breaking its all-time summer record set in 2006. All right, anything can go. Okay. Right, so that's the point. A lot of energy is being put out, and the grid is already unstable. So there you have it. Right, let me just get this real quick, because again, hey, this heat wave is just symbolic on what the Lord is actually going to do to Babylon the Great America. All right, this place is going to go out violently with fervent heat. All right, 2 Peter 3 and 10, and it reads, "But the day of the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shah, will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat." All right, as I was talking about earlier, they showed, footage from Europe, and, because of this heat wave, and you actually had shit melting, man. Cars were melting, tires were melting, the roads were melting. All right, stoplights were melting. People are dropping dead, all types of shit going on in Europe. Okay, but that's just a sign to come. Okay, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. See, that's what's coming. Okay, it says, "Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming day of power, wherein the heavens shall be on fire, where the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved," right? Wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. All right, that's the future of all of America, man. Right? Malachi, the 4th chapter. All right, let's get that here. Malachi 4 and 1, and it reads, "For behold, the day cometh, and that day is coming, that shall burn as an oven." All right, look what's going on in America now. All right, it was talking about a double, what do you say, a double heat dome? Let me go back to that part. That's crazy. Let me see.
Basically around the entire United States of America will have temperatures that average well above 100 degrees in almost every single state. Have a look at the jet stream and how it's forming the heat dome basically around the entire United States.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy, man. Whoo, man. Right, Malachi 4 and 1 again, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shah of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings." All right, salvation of the Lord's elect. "And ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And you should tread down the wicked, for they should be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I should do this, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shah of hosts." All right, so that fire is getting ready to happen via nuclear war, World War III. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Right? Yeah, so that's the point on that. So moving on, right? A little bit more here. Okay. This one caught my attention too. This is from Newsweek.com. It says from 71 million to 39 trillion. U.S. national debt. U.S. national debt's 250-year climb. All right, let's play this video real quick.
Republicans in Congress are sounding the alarm over the country's rapidly increasing national debt. The Joint Economic Committee released a statement drawing attention to what it called the unsustainable and immoral levels of public debt piling up under successive administrations. Arizona Republican and JEC Chairman David Schweiker said that $1 trillion has been added to the national debt in this fiscal year alone, bringing the total to $38.7 trillion. The committee noted that debt interest payments are on track to eventually become the largest driver of federal spending, unless the financial situation changes. America's mounting debt has long been on the radar of economists and lawmakers. It has major implications for economic growth and borrowing costs, as well as taxes and inflation. Such concerns were heightened with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act signed into law by President Trump in July, which contained both spending increases and sweeping tax cuts. Polls show sinking confidence among voters in the country's public finances, and that Americans believe fixing the budget should be a top priority for policymakers. Treasury Department data shows that net interest payments on the national debt totaled $970 billion in the 2025 fiscal year. That equates to more than an eighth of all federal spending and 3.2% of GDP. An outlook published by the Congressional Budget Office warned that deficits will push the US national debt from nearly $31 trillion today to $56 trillion by 2036. with debt also increasing to 120% of GDP over this period. Budget watchdogs are warning that lawmakers need to take these projections seriously and urgently tackle the country's ballooning.
Yeah, so there you go, right? So anything could happen, man. All right, you got this debt, you got this this blazing heat, power grid. All right, so much happening here, man. Okay, Habakkuk 2 and 6. And it reads, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, that thick clay is what? The debt that America's in. They're saying that it's 39 trillion. It could be way more. Okay, so as we all know, the ones that are in the know, okay, we understand that they're going to collapse the economy sooner or later. All right, because they're already prepared to bring in the beast system, this digital currency, UBI, universal basic income, digital payments. Everything is moving towards a digital society. All right. So all these events that are taking place could be the end of Babylon the Great. All right. However they may get it done. All right. We're just putting the warning out there to keep your head on the swivel. All right. Redeeming the time because the days are evil, as the scriptures say. Right. Habakkuk 2 and 6 NLT. But soon their captives will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. Right. You become rich by extortion, but how much longer can this go on? Exactly. So how much more longer can this all go on? As we've been saying, let me pull that back up. All right, that 250. All right. Again, how much longer can this go on? The average empire survives 250 years. Is America at death's door? All right, we're warning you. Okay, something is up. You got to be wary. You got to be paying attention. All right, any day. Okay. Here's a quick one right here from studyfinds.com. America at 250. Minnesota ranks first, Louisiana last, and no state is getting happier. All right, ain't no peace, ain't no happiness. Nobody's comfortable. You know, everybody's uneasy about the state of the economy, what's going on within the government, all the corruption that's being exposed, the scandals. You see what I'm saying? It's a done deal, right? In a nutshell, Minnesota ranked first overall among all 50 states, while Louisiana ranked last out of 51 measured jurisdictions, including Washington, D.C. Not a single state is improving on life satisfaction. Adult depression, youth depression, fatal overdoses, trust in the federal government, income inequality, long-term unemployment rate, and hourly earnings growth. Rising incomes are not translating into better personal well-being, though higher income states do tend to have more social trust. Board members from across the political spectrum, including advisors to presidents of both parties, signed off on the findings. Full rankings can be found at the end of the article. Yes, people are miserable, man. You see, as the United States turns 250 years old, a sweeping new report tracking the health of all 50 states and Washington, D.C. has delivered a verdict that cuts through political noise with uncomfortable clarity. American incomes are rising, yet Americans are becoming more miserable at the same time. See? No healing of Babylon, man. Now you understand that she cannot be healed. People are tired, burnt out, miserable, depressed, okay, ready to take their lives. You know? That's Isaiah 24. Okay, it's Isaiah 24. Right? Let's just read that in NLT again. Isaiah 24:8. Isaiah 24:7. It says, "The grapevines waste away, and there is no new wine. All the merrymakers sigh and mourn." Okay, that's the state of the so-called American people, man. The cheerful sound of tambourines is stilled. The happy cries of celebration are heard no more. All right, people not showing up from them funky ass 250 anniversary events in DC. They're all empty. Nobody's showing up. Okay, the so-called American pride is not there anymore. Right? The melodious chords of the harp are silent. Gone are the joys of wine and song. Alcoholic drink turns bitter in the mouth. The city writhes in chaos. Every home is locked to keep out intruders. Mobs gather in the streets crying out for wine. Joy has turned to gloom. Right? Joy has turned to gloom. Gladness has been banished from the land. See that? The mirth is gone. The city is left in ruins. Its gates battered down. There you go, man. That's the state of America. Okay? People are becoming more and more miserable. All right? Society's getting worse. All right? But again, this is where we at. All right? Tomorrow is the so-called anniversary. Okay? So from that point moving forward, hey, anything can happen. So we're going to keep our eyes glued to prophecy. All right? It's going down. Shalom.